Yeah, Kung Fu Panda 4. I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of weak. Kind of weak. Okay, so I recently watched it yesterday. Got the chance to go watch it, and I'm gonna be straight up on this. I genuinely think this is probably one of the weaker films in the franchise. However, that doesn't really mean it's bad by any means. It is actually a pretty good film. It's just it doesn't really feel the same on top of the other films. Now, I haven't seen Kung Fu Panda in years, probably in like 10 since the last time the third one came out. I know it's on Netflix, like most of the movies are on Netflix, but I really haven't had a chance to go rewatch them or whatever because I didn't want that to like disdain my opinion on watching the fourth film. So I wanted to go watch this film. Yes, like just go watch it. And to begin with, the film, it's honestly a pretty good film. I'm not gonna say it's bad by any means. It did have some stuff I genuinely didn't really like, but overall it is a pretty fun movie. In my opinion, I give it a 7 out of 10. The animation, top notch. It looks really really good considering this movie is like what, 10 years after the last movie, a few years after the one came out. It's not too bad animation wise. I think visually it looks pretty cool. The fight sequences in the film, honestly fun. They were as good. If you watch Kung Fu Panda, if you know like the story, if you know the like film, the fights are always probably some of the best things in this film. Is Po doing his kung fu things. Honestly, it was pretty fun, pretty entertaining. As far as the comedy, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, there were pretty moments. There were like a lot of moments in this film where I caught myself like laughing. The whole audience was laughing. It was overall pretty good. Like the comedy, I gotta hand it to Jack Black. He knows how to make us laugh, and along with the script writing. My downsides, however, started to come into play. I think the film came off weak with the villain. The villain itself, I'm gonna try to not spoil the story too much, but it's kind of hard to be honest. But like the villain itself, she didn't really make too much of an appearance. Like she was just kind of there. Essentially, the story focused more on Po and the Fox girl. I genuinely forgot their name, but we'll call her Fox. It genuinely is focused on them and their adventure, just traveling to the city and then trying to stop the chameleon, which I genuinely did not understand the chameleon's like motivation. Sure, she just wants to gain power for the sake of power, but unlike some of the other villains in the trilogy, she doesn't really do too much. She's only shown that she has sorceress powers, that she has magical abilities, but nothing more than that. Yeah, she controls people, but she doesn't really do much besides shape-shifting. She doesn't really have the ability to like back up her claims. Unlike some of the other films where you can see the villains as a threat, you can feel them as a threat. In this film, you don't really feel her as a threat. It's just kind of say that, oh, she's evil, she has magical abilities, she can do whatever. And I'm like, okay, so how are you gonna change my mind on the villain? Like, are you gonna tell me she's bad, or are you gonna show me that she can do this? And I'm kind of disappointed the villain didn't really do a whole lot. If you've seen other people's reviews, if you've seen the film, then you'll fully understand what I'm talking about. As far as the appearance of Tai Lung and some of the other ones, really nothing happened. And I know a lot of people are gonna agree or disagree that Tai Lung's character was kind of butchered in this film. I genuinely would have to agree. Like, unfortunately, I would agree with them. Like Tai Lung's character, he doesn't really get screen time despite him like being shown in the trailer. Almost nothing really happens with him, and like the problem of the story gets resolved fairly quickly, which honestly compared to the other films, it's kind of boring. And overall, the plot of this film is pretty predictable. Like, just from the trailer alone, it just shows Po was looking for a new dragon warrior, and in the trailer, you so happen to see a fox girl. And spoilers for the film, yeah, she becomes a dragon warrior. It's blatantly obvious. Like, I genuinely don't understand why it's so hard to like mislead us in trailers. Just give us like a good teaser trailer, just not reveal the entire story in the trailer, which is kind of the only thing I'm kind of disappointed about compared to some of the other films in the series. Like, you don't really know what's gonna happen, but with this film, you pretty much knew off the bat what was gonna happen in the beginning, middle, and end, which is really disappointing. But overall, it's still a pretty fun film. Obviously, this series is meant for kids. So if you're a kid, if you take your kid, younger brother, whatever the case is, to watch it, they're obviously gonna enjoy it. Me myself, I remember watching these films when I was like a kid myself, like years and years ago. But overall, As far as a continuation of the story, it didn't really need a fourth film. I genuinely believe Kung Fu Panda 4 was more of a cash grab than anything. And I mean, Jack Black obviously loves the character of Po. It's such a really charismatic, such a really fun character that I genuinely don't feel the need. Kung Fu Panda 4 was needed whatsoever. It doesn't really add like a whole lot to the trilogy. It doesn't really do anything to improve, to add upon it. It just kind of feels like filler. That is the best way to describe this film. But I wouldn't say it's bad filler because it's pretty entertaining. It's just overall not a good like sequel to the third one. As a standalone, it's not that bad. But if you're comparing it to the rest of the trilogy, then yeah, you might honestly be a bit disappointed. However, with that being said, that's just my thoughts on the Kung Fu Panda 4 film, the review. I think it's alright. I mean, it's pretty good, but overall, it's pretty weak. It's the weakest out of the 4. Would I recommend go watch it? Yeah, go watch it. But if you don't, you really don't have to watch it to understand any of the other films. But yeah, that's just my take on it. That being said, have you guys seen Kung Fu Panda 4? Are you gonna watch it? What is your favorite film out of the trilogy? And who's your favorite villain? Anyways, yeah, I'll catch you guys on my next one.